Nathan, I sent you this morning. What was your initial response before we get into the article?
Well, it's laughable. I actually had seen this. It's more pablum from
Yeah,
the morons in Hollywood. Member berries. I'm
that's
gonna just drop them.
that's the way that it feels. But let's just get into this article. So, this comes from the Twitter account of Fellowship of the Fans. These are people, of course, who before the season 1 came out, I was in their stream asking some questions saying, look, there's a lot of warning signs here. There's a lot of things to be concerned about, not the least of which were Payne and McKay, who were given the franchise of this in a whole lot of money with zero experience. Well, I think the results of season 1 speaks for itself. But here we are, season 2. In full disclosure, this isn't Tolkien. This isn't Lord of the Rings. That isn't Galadriel. None of the names that we're about to look at in this article, in my opinion, and Nathan, I don't know if you feel that way, have anything to do with Tolkien's works, Middle Earth, with anything that we love. This comes to us from SFF Gazette, The Rings of Power, Season 2. It's not the Lord of the Rings. Set photos reveal unexpected character from a book that they're not actually covering. Now, there's the picture that's going to be on the thumbnail. With so much attention currently on what Warner Brothers is going to do with the Embracer Group, because they have said they are going to take the Tolkien property and turn it into Star Wars. That's going to end well. Let's shift back to what Amazon has done with their tiny little slice of Tolkien estate, not Tolkien. So production from season 2 shifted from New Zealand, where New Zealand got bent over backwards by Amazon, in my opinion. Let's be honest about it. So they went to the UK, leading to concerns that Middle Earth will suddenly look and feel a lot different. Well, it didn't look like or feel like Middle Earth in season 1, so who cares? These photos were taken by a drone over Bray Studios in Berkshire, and a statue has been spotted that suggests they're stealing even more identity of names that they don't understand for this show. What's intriguing about this is that Amazon doesn't actually allow to adapt material from the Silmarillion or the Unfinished Tales. Now, we know that is set in stone. They only hold the rights to the Lord of the Rings appendices. This article even says it, that they can't imagine the Tolkien estate, which remains in charge of all first age material, will have an issue with this. This is where things are going to get weird. Nathan, without getting into a deep lore breakdown, what is the problem? And I'm going to get in here. So they're talking about a potential flashback featuring Fëanor in his role in season 2, and it could be nothing more than an Easter egg. But apparently, the Rings of Power season 2 is expected to premiere in 2024. And I'm not sure anybody cares, but this comes from the Fellowship of the Fans. These are people who went to London, who were given goodie bags, who were given a trip, who signed NDAs, in I think a lot of people's opinion, and then went out to shill hard for this, and it didn't work. But what do you think of these pictures we're looking at here, dude?
Boy, it's a lot of green screen or blue screen.
Yeah.
It might end up looking nice if you get really close up to it.
I'm sorry, Nathan. I thought this was Disney. I mean, look at this. There's no soul to this.
Yeah. When you sit there and consider that they can't get into the Silmarillion, they can't get into Unfinished Tales, they can only allude to it, that's a real hazy territory, because the big requirement is, as I understand it anyway, is that they cannot change any documented history from Tolkien. No, now, that's a lot of gray area, because Fëanor, there's a lot covered with him, but there's also space in there that you could sit there and allude to the white spaces in between the words, because that's all that they've done.
And yeah, I mean, we saw what they did with Galadriel. We saw what they've done with making up other bullshit characters. Again, this is not Middle Earth. This is not Tolkien. This is a show that takes names and puts them in places and tries to turn it into, I don't know what, Tomb Raider? What would you call season 1 of Amazon, Nathan?
Tomb Raider would be an upgrade.
I like literally, I don't think I have ever seen a season of television come out, and I'm sure there is, that people just don't care about, literally don't care about. So
Yeah.
looking at these pictures, I don't feel anything. Here's the thing, I don't feel hate. I don't feel anger. You know why?
No.
Because this show has showed us it is not Tolkien. It is not Middle Earth. That's not Gladriel. That's not Khazad-dûm. I mean, all of these things, it's irrelevant. It's garbage.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and look at that picture though. I mean, isn't that a little bit dirty to be elf? You've got all of this marring and aging on all these stones, and everything that we've been presented with in terms of Middle Earth. It's clean and it's majestic. You know, I
It's
don't
elegant.
recall. Right, exactly. Like I'm reading through Fellowship. I just read Lothlorien, which is in the middle of the woods, and I didn't sit there and think. And anything that Tolkien wrote, which is absolutely beautiful prose, did not read anything that stated that there was this evidence of time in terms of decay and dirt and grime.
For me, I think the biggest thing is, again, I'm not going down the road of legitimizing what this is, because it's not Tolkien.
Mhm.
It's not Middle Earth. This is not the First Age. They literally only own the television rights to the appendices of the Lord of the Rings, and they're just making all of this random stuff up. Now, we saw it in season 1, the quality of the armor, which wasn't there, the ridiculousness of the plot. They're not even trying to be the characters they stole the identity of. But I'll take all of that out of the picture and look at what's in front of us. This looks like a bad statue done by a very poor carver. If you were even going to pretend that this was elf work, and let's remove this from Middle Earth, let's put this in any other fantasy series out there, this does not fly. This is garbage. This looks like something you'd see at a truck stop when you're driving across middle America. Okay. And it's like, it's like the Corn Palace. It's like Wall Drug. This should be next to a big fiberglass bison. Okay. As far as legitimacy, this Amazon has lost. They don't know it yet, but they've lost.
yeah.
And nobody gives a shit about this. Nobody.
And I don't know that they don't know that they've lost, though, because they spent so much of that $5 billion or whatever it was on season 1, and they got nothing in return for their views. If I remember in a discussion I was having with Alex Green of the White Cloaks, they didn't even crack the top 15 of streaming shows over the course of 2022, which is pathetic when you consider that some of the stuff like CSI or NCIS or whatever it was in the top 10.
Yeah, so we're going to end on this one. It's not Lord of the Rings. It's not Tolkien. It's not Middle Earth. Amazon is now resorting to pulling people's negative reviews of this showdown, legitimate ones, that we saw with Heel versus Babyface and Az on his video where they're taking it down. The thing about all this is that at the end of the day, they're fabricating a narrative, and the only way they can do that is by destroying legitimate feedback on the product they've produced. What does that tell you season 2 is going to be like? Thanks everybody for checking this out. Form your own opinions. If you think Nathan and I are in error as to what we're seeing on the screen, let us know. Do you have hope for season 2? I don't. I'm out. I'm out. Anyway, I'm Salty Travel and Sea. You have a good one. Later.